The Naismith Moment, a look at hardwood history, culture, and the Canadian game. This week on the Naismith Moment, Cleveland's hope returns. And the young man ran onto the court. His white shirt said in black marker, "We miss you. 2014. Come back." The king could have done one of three things. He could have walked away. He could have avoided the guy. But no. He walked over. He extended his hand. He patted him on the head. That, folks, is a predictor, a harbinger, a foreshadowing of things to come. LeBron James is probably the most polarizing basketball player ever to play in the NBA. You love him, you hate him, there's nothing in between. Now, we talk about legacies a lot on Hoops Lounge. I love to discuss sustained excellence over a long period of time. You know, Michael Jordan's at the top of the food chain. He's 6-0 all-time NBA Finals. We can talk about Bill Russell, guys like that. Tim Duncan, also in the modern era, is 5-1. Those guys are key. LeBron James currently is 2-3 in the NBA Finals. So when he's working on that Mount Rushmore, talking about legacy, that one thing, that one huge stigmata, I mean, you can talk about him being a pass-first guy, not having that killer instinct, but that one huge stigmata against him is the decision in 2010. You know, the glamour and glam, the TV cameras, the whole Hollywood pastiche to it, it wasn't the way to do it. And then on the other hand, the whole building a super team, having to go elsewhere to do it, not doing it the Michael Jordan way, not doing it the Larry Bird way, not doing it the Magic Johnson way. Heavy is the crown on the king. Well, the time he spent in Miami, he made it to 4 straight NBA Finals. He won 2. Barely won 1. Game 6, Jesus Shuttleworth, 2013, with a shot, maybe the best shot ever, to get him that one title that almost escaped from them at that moment. But then we got to 2014, and they lose. It's the cramps. It's everything else. It's a great Spurs team, to be honest. So, as I said, the crown is heavy on the king. He opts out of his contract. A lot of stuff. The Twitterverse goes nuts, as always, social media. And I had a gut feeling. About a week before the second decision, I was at work. And I went over to my colleague Phil, Sporting Phil from Hoops Lounge. We worked together. And I said, man, I think LeBron is going to make a move. I think he's going to shake up the league. And I tweeted that, by the way. Then I found out over the course of the next few days, hearing things, inner circle stuff, and the wheels started to turn into motion. And I said to myself, this is going to happen. And it's not about the money. Obviously, the max contract is a big thing, but there's just so much more going on than this. Now let's talk about the return. This is one reason why I think this is really key. I want to talk about mending fences. You can say everything you want about Dan Gilbert, the owner. You can talk about calling him a coward, the Comic Sans font. But LeBron's bigger than that. You could see when talking about Donald Sterling, he was the first guy to step up and say, we don't need this guy in our league. LeBron stands on his own 2 feet. Unlike a lot of guys, he says what he has to say. And he says it with authority. He basically, by the statement of re-signing with the Cleveland Cavs, where he came from, was saying, I'm better than this. I'm bigger than this. This is about community, and this is about a lot more than this. So, beyond mending the fences with Dan Gilbert, this is saying, I can publicly state that I am beyond the situation. I have worked things out with this man, and I am okay with it. Because we live in a bitter world where people are me versus them, he versus I. I see it every day on Twitter. LeBron is stepping up to the plate and saying, guess what? Bad blood does not have to exist, and I'm going to show you every day on the court for the next 5-10 years. It's a rare opportunity in more ways than one. Let's talk about home, the importance of home. I look at Derrick Rose, because we talk about athletes being drafted by their home city. Think about that. Beyond Derrick Rose, a superstar playing in Chicago where he grew up, there are not that many examples in professional sports in North America of a guy playing for his home city. Obviously, LeBron's from Akron, it's a few miles up the road from Cleveland, but pretty much there. It's a very, very, very rare opportunity. It has unique pressures on you. I mean, Derrick Rose pretty much is Bruce Wayne nowadays, never leaves the house. That's that much pressure as him being a local guy doing that in Chicago. LeBron has the opportunity to step into that fire again, and he's not running away from it. Now, the thing about Cleveland is, as a sports city, there's the Cavs, there's the Cleveland Indians, the Cleveland Browns. Last time they won a title on any of these sports was 49 years ago. And just beyond that, hardly anything in between. You know, you talk about things like Craig Elo, Michael Jordan, you know, just all these different things in other sports. It's just been a cursed sports city for over a century, really. And LeBron has a chance to change that. You know, you could say that he had that chance for 7 years, but look at the roster he played with before. Now, the importance of being home. There's a reason why they call Cleveland part of the Rust Belt. Because if you've ever been in that part of Middle America, places like Cleveland, Buffalo, Pittsburgh, you know, it's just the economy of yesteryear, of the industrial times, 1940s, 20s, those factories out of Detroit. You know, this is part of that community that just is not what it once was. And LeBron stepped away from that world. He turned his back on that. And it faltered. It continued to falter after he left. This is one man with a very unique opportunity to, one, come home and bring millions and millions of dollars into that economy, create jobs, and better yet, create hope in his home area. Who else has that type of opportunity as a professional athlete? More so as a person on this planet. Think about that. That one decision, that second decision to come back, can change everything for a community in such positive ways. But not just that. On the basketball court, he has this opportunity because of a very interesting thing called ping pong balls. The Cleveland Cavaliers have been just ridiculously lucky over the last few years, landing the #1 pick of 3 of the last 4 years. Kyrie Irving, Anthony Bennett. Bennett will be a good player, by the way, if they keep him, but he'll be good wherever he plays. And now, suddenly, in 2014, most unexpectedly, getting the #1 pick again. Chances in the millions, absolute millions. And it's very interesting because Joel Embiid, possibly their #1 pick, breaks his foot a week before the NBA draft. Think about this. Had he broken his foot a week after the draft and had they taken him, LeBron's playing in Miami next year, or maybe Phoenix. He ain't coming back to Cleveland. But what happened was Andrew Wiggins arrived. The Canadian, the Maple Jordan, I hate that name. But he, in my mind, for a long, long time, is the next star of that league, the NBA. And LeBron knows that too. So, Mr. Wiggins going to Cleveland was that catalyst in a lot of ways, that sticking point that said, you know what, I have to go home. And so, looking at all these factors together, the economy, the legacy, the giving back, and not only giving back, he's going to give back to these players. He's going to pass that baton of the league king of the NBA onto Mr. Wiggins as the years go by. He made a decision that's great for the game, for himself, and for his home. I couldn't be happier about what LeBron James is doing and that very eloquent letter that he wrote in Sports Illustrated. No glitz and glamour this time around, just straight to business, straight from the heart. This is a very, very important moment in NBA history and basketball history. And it's great that the King has extended his hand again. See you next week on the Naismith Moment.